Hi, I'm Christina Klimash, and you are on a podcast, Building Digital Products, where we speak about the technologies that can boost your business here and now. And our today's guest is David Menaged. He is the founder of Trot, a commercial real estate marketplace that's on a mission to make flex space work better for many businesses. David has also been the founder of Intrepid Real Estate Group for the last 16 years. Now, as a current principal, he has cultivated a strong team of brokers who assist landlords and tenants and facilitate about 80 lease transactions a year. Hello, David.
Hello there.
So let's begin our conversation, and I will start with the first question. And as we all know, New York real estate market is really broad. A few years ago, you posted on LinkedIn that your product Trot hit the milestone of 100 deals in a year, which is truly impressive for sure. So congrats on that, actually. And could you share with us, with our audience, about the way you came up with the Trot on the market?
Sure. I think that for a while now, the flex market was becoming more and more important just to the market in general. And it was becoming a more important component and piece of what people were looking for. Up until this point, it was really more on the tenant side. But I think that as the world changed, especially a lot faster over the last number of years, I think the fact that that people want to be flexible and nimble in their business took front and center. And what we had noticed was that the flex business was dominated by third-party providers. It wasn't really dominated by the parties that we believe should be, which is the property owners. And what we thought was a large reason for this was because it was left to the third-party providers by the market at large, and the owners really didn't look for a solution. That's problem one. Problem two, even if an owner wanted to participate, the process that they were forced to follow in order to rent space on a short-term basis was quite similar to the process that they would have to follow to rent space on a long-term basis. The brokerage model, making offers on spaces, trading a few rounds of offers, creating these long-form leases. And the reality is that process doesn't necessarily match the final product of a short-term lease. There's simply not enough meat on the bone for all the parties involved. So we looked at that and we said that the market needed to be reshaped, it needed to be reformatted. And we felt that a digital marketplace was really the way to go. We had seen so many other industries that reinvented themselves and reinvigorated themselves through these digital marketplaces, whether it be Uber, Expedia, Airbnb, where they created such a seamless process. And through that, they've made it much more transparent for the end user and for the suppliers by harvesting everything in one spot on the internet. And in doing that, they created these amazing engines where everybody was able to benefit from it equally, whether it was the providers or the end users. And we started thinking that we needed something like this in commercial space for owners to be able to transact in flex leasing. Not really leasing, it's licensing agreements, not leases, but to transact in short-term rentals in a seamless and transparent way. So by uniting the market on one platform, we really unleash the power of that united market that the owners really wield in the market by controlling so much product. And we started Trot.
And it leads actually to my next question about your marketplace. The Trot's big idea and differentiation point is to create a marketplace for short-term office space. What investigation or analysis did you conduct to launch a product with such a value proposition?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we did a little bit of market testing in terms of like focus groups and whatnot to try to understand if there was going to be a place for it in the market. What we found was that a large percentage, better than 80 to 90% of the people that we had sampled were on both sides, whether it's the owners or the renters. We found that better than 80 to 90% of these groups wanted a solution like this. We also looked at our experience in the real estate industry, which goes back to the early 90s, which is in 1994 when we started in brokerage business, not necessarily my company Intrepid, but just in real estate proper. And through our experiences and the interviews that we conducted with various parties within the industry, we found that there was a gaping hole and a real appetite for a product like this. So we set out to create it.
One of our core competencies at LinkUp Studio is that we build custom marketplaces. For entrepreneurs considering building their own real estate marketplace, what are the most crucial features and characteristics of this type of digital platforms?
So I think it's very important to have a process that feels very transparent for both sides. A marketplace is kind of tricky because it's sort of the chicken and the egg, right? You need to get the owners to commit to listing their product on our site when we don't have any demand, because if you don't have the inventory, then you're not going to have any demand. So it's a little bit of it's definitely tricky at the beginning. It was pretty difficult at the beginning to get that inventory. We were fortunate in the sense that we've got some great relationships with various property owners in New York City proper that's being in the business for close to 3 decades. So we were fortunate in that sense, but that was definitely a challenge. But creating a transparent process where people feel confident to transact is also critical. And the process being streamlined, it takes out a lot of the guesswork. I think in commercial real estate, for the most part, you'll find that the end user, that's the renter, has very little exposure to the commercial real estate business. Your average business owner, before Trot, your average business owner, if they signed a 3 or 5 year lease, and leases are trending shorter, but if they signed a 5-year lease, let's just say, then for somebody that's managed their own company for 50 years, let's just say, 50, that's a huge amount of time, then they've only actually participated in the search and leasing of space 10 times their whole career. So they could be the most experienced business professional, but in terms of their exposure to the commercial real estate industry, they could still be a novice. And generally speaking, the contracts use difficult words. There are difficult clauses that you need to be a professional to really understand where they're coming from. Not that you're not able to understand them, but simply it's just not stuff that you use in the ordinary vernacular. So the average person doesn't really know much about real estate, or doesn't have much exposure, I should say. That's a little bit more accurately said. So it's an intimidating process. So having a process where agreements are easy to understand, they use common language and not these great terms. Having a process where all charges are upfront and included, where you don't have to worry about electricity charges, other ancillary charges that could come around with commercial spaces, whether it be water, sprinkler, front door guards. There's a whole slew of charges that could come up. So having an easy to understand process, we found, was something that was critical for our business and something that has gotten it more well received in the marketplace where we're trading.
And was it difficult for you to create the marketplace that focuses both technical and non-technical users, like in the real estate industry?
Yeah, I think technically the easier the product is to use, right? By having something that's super easy to use, you don't exclude people that are experts in the field. It's really only gravy. You're only able to cater to people that aren't as experienced in the field to work with it. So from a technical standpoint, I think that our driving mission was to create something that was easy to use, transparent, that actually felt good when you used it, and that worked. So, it wasn't really a concern for us. Our concern was more to just create something easy, and then we hoped that, everybody would use it equally.
In Trot, you have many brokers on board. How do you think modern technologies like AI or AR can boost their performance?
Well, I think that we actually, our customers are direct customers. So the people that are renting on Trot predominantly, although we do cater to the brokerage industry, if they have people that they're representing, we will co-broke our deals with outside brokers and share our fees with them. But for the most part, the vast majority of our customers come directly to us not through the brokerage industry. And what we found is that the industry has certain stigmas, and AI is an incredible tool beyond the shadow of a doubt, and will revolutionize the world in so many ways that we probably don't even know right now. There are some businesses, though, still that require a little bit of that personal feel. So while our technology is completely set up for a 100% digital experience without having to actually speak to anybody, which is a key factor in what we've built. AI can enhance that experience. I don't know that the real estate market yet is at a point where AI will replace that human touch. I do still think that there is an element of humanity that people need and want when they're transacting in real estate. That's not to say that 5 or 10 years down the road, that's not going to change. I just think that today, 2024, going into September, I think we still need a little bit human interaction, albeit much less than in the past, but it's still somewhat required.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that the more expensive purchase is, the more important for the person to have this human approach in the sales process.
Yeah, I think that's today. You know, I'm going back to when the internet was early on, when it was just released to the public. And judging by my grades, I think I'm a little bit older than you, but that's just the hunch that I have. So when people really first started using it, maybe in the late 80s, early 90s, there were so many naysayers that said, you know, well, it's not going to be good for clothing because you still need that touch and feel, or it won't be good for buying cars, or it won't be good for this and it won't be good for that. And the reality is, as the internet has matured and as the consumer has become more confident in transacting on the web, I think that many things that people said were impossible 30 years ago are now done today, you know, like God gave the earth. I mean, they just happen every day, millions of times over. So I think people that say, oh, this will never happen, that's more of a naysayer, that somebody's just sort of kind of staying with their tunnel vision. I think everything will eventually happen. It's a question of just how quickly and how much it actually evolves. But I think everything will ultimately happen that way.
Yes, you're right. I also find it fascinating to observe this evolution while I speak with my grandparents who aren't very familiar with technology. It's interesting to see how some things that are second nature to me are completely new to them, and they need to be explained as you would to a child. I believe it's important to turn off your tunnel vision when it comes to the changes happening around us, because if we don't, it will be difficult to adapt to new things and technologies. We need to stay open-minded for sure.
Couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that a critical piece just in business in general, and what, you know, that plays out in how you approach technology, how you approach, you know, visiting different places, how you do business. I think that and this couldn't be more applicable to me because without it, I wouldn't have started Trot. I mean, I had a great brokerage business in the old world of brokerage. That business is still in existence until today. But if I didn't have my eye towards opportunity and where the market was going, this never would have happened. So I think just people in general, when they're starting a business, they have to realize that what they think today and what they hold dear today of a you know, bedrock way to do something very well might look completely differently tomorrow. And that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, tomorrow being Tuesday. That just means tomorrow at some point in the future. And the minute you think nothing's going to change, you've lost the race. You're out, and it's just your countdown to irrelevance has begun. So I think we always have to be looking for new opportunities and new ways to create. And I think that that's more apparent today than ever before in the world. Honestly, I don't see a time where it was, for a while we just sort of did things the same way for a very, very long time. Probably the last time there was major invention and major changes in the way that we operated was the Industrial Revolution. But after the Industrial Revolution, things really stayed the same for, whatever it was, 150 years, 175 years. And now over the last 10 or 15 years, it just seems as though things are changing every month. Like it's just a completely different way of living. So yeah, critical. Adopting to new technologies and not having tunnel vision. Number one on the list of things for somebody starting a business.
Your marketplace connects a large audience of diverse businesses that need a commercial space and building owners. Could you share the top way to promote your platform and make it widely used?
Yeah, I think that outreach to our users is critical. I mean, so the biggest companies have major campaigns to always be in our face. The biggest institutions you're in the Ukraine, but in the States, whether it's, the biggest banks, the biggest technology companies, the biggest automobile companies, they're always hitting us with messages, right? And these are companies that seemingly are top of mind, right? Like if I want to open up a bank account, seemingly I would think JP Morgan, right? And just open up an account in Chase. But yet they're advertising all the time. I cannot open up my LinkedIn feed and not see, private banking advertisement from JP Morgan. I mean, they're just hitting it all the time. So I think that outreach to our customers is critical, as it is to every other business. And that could take on a few different forms. That could be advertising online. That could be keywords on Google. That could be, billboards in on roads. That could be advertising in train stations. It could be direct email campaigns to people that have signed up to receive communications from us. It could take on a bunch of different forms, but I think outreach, whether it's on the client side, which are the owners, which provide our inventory, or whether they're on our customer side, which is the trotters or the renters, I think outreach and always being in people's faces with a message that's exciting and relevant to what their business needs today is critical. Outreach. It can never stop. It has to be something that business owners think of daily. How am I reaching my customers? Because it's simple, out of sight, out of mind. No matter who big the customer is, out of sight, out of mind. So staying in customers' faces with a consistent message and a consistent basis is critical.
And right now I will ask you flash questions and you just need to pick the right one. Are you ready?
You got it. Go for it.
Being a broker or principal?
Being a broker or being a principal? Being a broker.
Cold calls or referrals?
Referrals are way better.
Broadway or Fifth Avenue?
Can I answer it depends?
Yes.
Okay.
Change or tradition?
Change.
So thank you for today's episode. Thank you that you came to our show. It was really nice talking to you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Stay safe. Thanks very much for your time.
Click like and subscribe button to not skip the following episodes. Bye!